Considering today's revolving door of hi-fi products, where product updates are announced before customers' initial orders have even shipped, the Anthem STR Integrated, which was released way back in 2018, is practically a dinosaur. And you'd think I'd be talking to you about its replacement. Instead, I'm sitting here trying to figure out how it's still competitive in 2024. What makes it all the more interesting is the STR is the only integrated amplifier that Anthem offers. And it's a Class AB style amp, and it produces 200 watts per channel into 8 ohms, 400 watts into 4, and 550 watts into 2. Yes, it is rated down to 2 ohms. And if that's not enough power for you, the STR also has full preamp outs, which include dual subwoofer outs that can be configured for mono or independent use, and also feature full bass management, which includes the ability to be EQ'd using Anthem's ARC room correction. Regardless of the STR's release date, it still has almost everything a modern music file needs, including a built-in DAC and configurable phono preamp. There are 5 analog inputs, 4 unbalanced and 1 balanced, along with a phono preamp that has 2 separate inputs, one for moving magnet cartridges and the other for moving coil, both of which can be tailored to better suit your cartridge through the Anthem's on-screen menu. For your digital life, the Anthem has 2 optical, 2 coaxial, 1 AES EBU, and 1 USB input. The built-in DAC supports high-res music signals and DSD up to 32.384 or DSD 2.8 to 5.6. You get 2 additional USB inputs that are specifically used for software updates or to connect the included ARC microphone. There's also an Ethernet jack, an RS-232 port, and a couple of trigger ports. Now, sadly, the STR lacks wireless connectivity, Bluetooth, smart home, or streaming support, but again, considering the STR was originally released in 2018, this is actually not surprising. While you could treat the Anthem like any other integrated amp, you'll be missing out on the STR's best features. If you approach it more like a home theater processor than a traditional hi-fi integrated amplifier, the value of the STR really comes into focus. I mean, you have the flexibility to customize the Anthem in unique ways not commonly found in other products. For example, you can save different settings into profiles and then assign those profiles to each individual input, allowing for a very personalized experience. And while it can seem a bit overwhelming at first, once you become familiar with the on-screen display and its menu tree, it does become easier to manage. Would I have preferred to see Anthem's newer net or app-based setup that you can find on their AVRs? Of course I would. But for a more audiophile-centric product, especially one that's getting a little bit long in the tooth, I applaud the STR's ability to be customized at all. The STR has the power to drive most loudspeakers on the market. I've tested the Anthem on everything from the Bowers & Wilkins 801 D4 and 705 signatures to our reference speakers, the SVS Titans and Klipsch Cornwall 4s. I also put 3 different subwoofers on the Anthem, including Kef's KC92 and our 2 Klipsch subs, the RP1000 and SPL120, and I have yet to find a bad pairing. Now, the STR doesn't have 2 sets of 5-way binding posts like our Yamaha 2000A, but since it lets you save speaker profiles, you can configure the Anthem differently for multiple speakers or multiple speaker and subwoofer combinations, which is really helpful if you need to compare different setups over time. While you can go the easy route by simply connecting the STR to your favorite speakers and calling it a day, one of the big reasons why the Anthem is still relevant today is the inclusion of room correction. Anthem Room Correction, or ARC, is one of the better automated calibration platforms not named Dirac. Plus, unlike Dirac, it's free. To use ARC, you need to connect the STR to your home's network using its Ethernet port. From there, you can access ARC on your desktop, or you can use the ARC mobile app on your phone or tablet, and the latter can be used with the included ARC microphone or the mic built into your device. The ARC mobile app, it's easy enough to use, at least it was on my iPhone, but I prefer the results I got using the desktop software. While the mobile app sure is handy, the results are a little bit more basic. Using Anthem's room correction software shouldn't be too difficult, especially if you're already familiar with full versions of Dirac or Odyssey. That said, it did take more than a few frustrating attempts for the software to see the STR on my MacBook Pro in my home's network. Word of advice, the STR seems to be very particular about your network settings, so follow the manual to the letter. Otherwise, you may get stuck in an endless loop like I did. Fortunately, once the connection was made, the rest of the process was completely trouble-free. ARC will guide you through various measurements displaying the response of your speakers or speakers and subwoofer in your room. From there, you can adjust your speaker's curve or just go with what Anthem recommends and then save those filters to the STR. So does ARC work? Yes, and in my opinion, it is among the better, more natural-sounding room correction solutions on the market. Its two-channel implementation is exceptional. I mean, just look at these before and after results. But the real question on your mind is probably, is Dirac better? Well, it's quite powerful, and if you opt for the full suite of Dirac products, you can do a little bit more with Dirac compared to what I've experienced with ARC, but that said, the end results of both software packages are nearly identical. ARC's quick measurement feature is also super convenient and a great way to help with speaker placement or to find the best seating position in your room. Minus the few network gremlins that I ran into, the results I got from ARC were totally worth it. The Anthem is one hell of a neutral amplifier. In my experience, the Anthem is closer in overall tonality to the Yamaha 2000A, especially in the bass and lower mid-range. Now, when compared to the costlier MCINTOSH MC312 with our mini DSP SHD acting as a preamp on the exact same speakers, the STR has a little less body or weight in the lower mid-range and upper bass, which could lead some of you to believe that the STR is leaner than the MCINTOSH. Now, I appreciate the STR's agility and focus, especially after using ARC. The STR's bass, with or without a sub, is more nimble, focused, and rife with detail, though I will admit you get more heft in the sensation of dimension with the MCINTOSH, but your extra $3 or $4 grand that you spent on the Mac gear should buy you something. The STR's mid-range is neutral and uncolored, allowing your speaker's natural sound to shine through, which is exactly what you want from an amp or integrated. Like its bass response, the STR's mid-range performance is focused on the recreation of natural detail and intelligibility. The treble is, again, where I think the Anthem is going to be more easily distinguishable from costlier options like the MCINTOSH. The STR's treble, it is clean and focused, but it lacks that hint of organic air, atmospheric-like decay, and dimension that you're going to get from the Mac. As a result, the STR sounds a little crisper and clearer through the upper mids and treble when driving the Cornwall 4s. Now, I prefer the MC312 Mini DSP's overall tonality. Still, the STR is exceptional for nearly half the price and may represent the better overall value considering just how close to reference it gets. The STR's more precise and focused sound in the low bass and upper mids and treble allow it to sound more dynamically snappy, dare I say explosive, compared to the Mac or the Yamaha. I know the STR is a stereo component, but I thoroughly enjoyed watching movies with it because of just how punchy and dynamic it was. There is ample control throughout the soundstage, allowing for terrific separation and delineation edge to edge and front to back. One thing is for sure, the STR is not going to get in the way of your speaker's inherent soundstage capabilities. Now, to test the STR's internal DAC, I used the Cambridge Audio CXN100 as a streamer using an optical connection. With the STR, the sound was more refined, with better channel and spatial separation than when playing back the same tracks using the DAC inside the CXN100. The CXN100's analog output sounded mildly weightier and warmer compared to the STR, but that said, the DAC inside the STR, it is of a high enough quality that I just don't believe investing in a separate DAC would be money well spent, unless, of course, you're looking way up market or prefer a particular sound provided by a very specific brand's chipset. When it comes to vinyl playback, the STR's built-in PHONO preamp is quite good. Similar to the Technics R1000, the PHONO preamp can be tailored to your cartridge and even the record you're listening to. Now, the Anthem cannot calibrate itself the way the R1000 can, but you can experiment with different preset EQ curves, even curves unique to the different recording labels. Now, are you going to hear a difference? Well, some curves are going to be more noticeable than others. As with any subtle filtration or adjustment, your mileage is probably going to vary. Connected to our LP140 XP with our Ortophon cartridges, the STR's vinyl playback was very good. So unless you have just an insanely esoteric rig, I would just stick to the STR's internal phono capabilities. Given that the STR came to market 6 years ago, I'm guessing an update is on the horizon. But since an STR V2 isn't imminent, at least according to Anthem, hopefully there's still time for me to get my wish list implemented. So here goes. The next STR needs everything. Seriously. An updated STR should have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, AirPlay, and the like. Beyond the obvious convenience, this will allow the STR and ARC to run more seamlessly, not to mention open it up to app or browser-based setup like what you get with Anthem's current home theater receivers. Obviously, HDMI with ARC is an absolute must, especially given the strength of the STR's 2.1 or 2.2 movie performance already. Now, I'm on the fence over whether or not it needs built-in streaming. The reason I'm on the fence is every time I say something needs built-in streaming, you guys all jump in and be like, I got a streamer that's way better. So if you feel differently, now's your chance to comment down below. Lastly, the ability to customize the front panel display would be awesome. I like the large volume readout, don't get me wrong, but I would have loved the option to see digital meters or just more unique metadata instead. The STR isn't a budget component. Still, at $5,000, it's far from the most expensive integrated amplifier on the market, especially when you factor in its power and room correction capability. At $3,000 less, the STR has a leg up on the MCINTOSH 7200 when it comes to features. The 7200 sound is more in line with my experience with the more expensive MC312 and Mini DSP SHD, which that may be preferable to some of you. Stylistically, both are beautiful amps. If you prefer a sleeker and more modern design, the STR has you covered. With the 7200 though, you get Mac's trademark iconic look, complete with blue meters. Does that make the Mac better? No, it just makes it different. Now, I personally gravitate more to the MCINTOSH sound, so if I had to pick one to live with, forever, I think I'd choose the 7200 or the MC312. But then again, if money's tight, what you get for $5,000 with the STR, it's very hard to pass up. The closest comparison to the Anthem is the Yamaha 2000A. The STR is more powerful and a little bit more customizable, but the 2000A has the Anthem beat when it comes to modern conveniences like streaming and HDMI connectivity, plus it has Wi-Fi room correction. The Anthem sounds a bit more refined and controlled when driving a wider range of loudspeakers, but I gotta tell you, unless you have truly power-hungry speakers or just like to listen at full carl all of the time, these two integrated amps are very evenly matched. Now, the AUDIOLAB 9000, that is a very interesting comparison. First, it is less powerful at 100 watts per channel and, as you might expect, cheaper, but not by much. What's interesting about the AUDIOLAB Anthem comparison is that the 9000A is a newer product, released in early 2023, and yet, despite this fact, it has fewer options and features. The 9000A lacks room correction. It has a more basic built-in PHONO preamp that only supports moving magnet cartridges, some limits on high-res audio, and a simple set of preamp outs that are going to force users to have to choose between using a third-party amp for more power or their subwoofer. While you can use the AUDIOLAB's preamp outs to connect a sub, it lacks bass management or EQ, something you get with the now ancient Anthem. The AUDIOLAB 9000A sounds terrific, and it's a great integrated amplifier, but it's also a really good example of just how, after more than 6 years, the Anthem isn't as outdated as it may seem. A product has got to be pretty damn special to remain in production for more than 6 years with no replacement or major update. Sure, the STR features are a little bit behind the curve in 2024, but in terms of sound quality, it's still insanely competitive. If you bought one back in 2018, I'd say you've definitely gotten your money's worth. Anthem has built an integrated amplifier for the ages, and I don't know what the future holds for the STR or when or if it's going to be replaced with a new model down the road, but if and when that day comes, you better believe I'm going to be first in line to try it. So that's it. That is now my review of the Anthem STR integrated amplifier. It wasn't 6 years in the making, but it was the better part of a year to bring it to you because it's been lurking in the background since like January. Anyway, now's your turn. Tell me what you guys thought of it. And if I missed anything, a comparison you're more curious about than the ones I gave you here, you know the drill. Comment down below. You never know. Could end up in next Friday's Unplugged where we find out what Christy thought of the STR. Until then, if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Go ahead and ring that bell so that you're notified when new videos come out. If there's any of the links that Christy's left for you down below, it's a great way that you guys have continued to show your support for this channel and the work that we both do here, and both of us thank you very, very much for doing that. Follow me on Instagram at Recovering Audiophile, and that's it for us today. So remember, the only person who has to like the sound of your system is you. So happy listening, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.